Dart skill presents ratio and rate. When we compare things of the same type, we can write a ratio between them. So you could say ratio is a way to compare similar things. And we write it by putting two dots between the things that we compare. For example, you could say the ratio of boys to girls in a class is 3:2, which means that for every 3 boys in the class there are 2 girls. Note that the ratio doesn't give us the actual numbers. It doesn't tell us that there are exactly 3 boys in the class and there are exactly 2 girls in the class. It only tells us that for every group of 3 boys there are 2 girls. So if the actual number of boys is 6, that is double of 3, the actual number of girls will be 4, which is double of 2. And in that case, the total number of boys and girls would be 6 plus 4, that's 10. And that gives rise to the idea of something called a ratio table. A table in which each row represents the different scenarios for the number of boys, the number of girls, and the total number. So let's say the first column is for boys, the second column is for girls, and then you have a total number of students column. If there were to be 3 boys in the class, there would be 2 girls, then the total number would be 5. If there are 6 boys, there would be 4 girls, the total would be 10. If this number is 9, this would be 6 and the total would be 15, and so on. If you take a look at the numbers in the first column, the boys column, they're all multiples of this number 3, 6, 9, 12 and so on. Similarly, the girls column are all multiples of 2, the first number on that column, 2, 4, 6 and so on. And the total column has got multiples of 5, the first number on that column. So given any one of these 3 numbers on a particular row, you can easily find out the other 2 by multiplying the first numbers on each one of those columns with the number that you get by multiplying the first number that's already given. For example, if you know this number is 14 out here, because you know that 2 times 7 is 14, you would multiply 3 with 7, get a 21 here, and multiply 5 with 7, get a 35 here. So you found all 3 numbers on that particular row. In other words, with this ratio, if the number of girls is 14, the number of boys is 21, and the total number in the class is 35. There are 3 different ways to write a ratio. We could write 3 colon 2, or as a fraction 3 over 2, or simply 3 to 2. And note that the order in which you write the numbers does matter. 3 over 2 is not the same as 2/3, and the ratio of boys to girls is 3:2, means that the ratio of girls to boys is 2:3. So if you have boys first and then the number 3 first in the ratio, it means boys corresponds to the number 3 and girls corresponds to the number 2. You change the order, rewrite this as 2:3, the whole thing has got a new meaning. Let's do some problems now. The ratio of males to females attending a concert is 3:2. So 3 is for males and 2 is for females. Like I said, the order matters. And if the total number of attendants is 200, how many females attended the concert? So if we bring up the ratio table, have males on the first column, females on the second column, and the total on the third column. If this is 3, this is 2, and the total obviously is 5. Now given that this is 200, we need to find the total number of females. So we need to find this number. So all you need to do is figure out 5 times what is 200, and the answer is 40. 5 times 40 is 200 because 5 times 4 is 20. And then just multiply this number with that same number 40. So the number of females attending the concert is 80. Let's look at another one. The ratio of the ages of A, B and C is 1 to 4 to 2. If B is 16 years old, how old is A? So this is for A, this is for B, and this one's for C. Let's come up with a ratio table. The first column indicates A's age, the second one is for B, and the third one is for C. And it's given that the ratio of their ages is 1 to 4 to 2. And it's also given that B is 16 years old. So we have a 16 over here, and the question is how old is A? So we need to find this number out. The idea is the same. Figure out 4 times what is going to give you 16. Obviously 4 times 4 is 16. Multiply this number with 4. And 1 times 4 is 4. So A is 4 years old. A rate is a comparison of two things of different types. One of the most common forms of rate is speed, that's expressed amongst other units as kilometers. So the distance, let's say in kilometers per hour, or over time, let's say in hours. So it's a comparison of the distance traveled to the time taken, two different things. Similarly, we could have a rate of reading given as, let's say, the number of pages read, number of pages over the total time taken, time in hours. Or let's say the rate of fuel consumption for an automobile, that's given in the number of gallons of fuel consumed over the distance covered. So gallons per kilometer or something like that. You would typically use the idea of proportions to solve problems related to rates. Let's look at an example. If Ross can solve 20 maths problems in 1 hour, how long will it take him to solve 50 problems? So the rate of solving maths problems is given as 20 problems over 1 hour. And that is the same as 50 problems over how much time? We need to find this one out. In other words, we set up the proportion 20 over 1 is equal to 50 over x, where x is the unknown. You need to find this out. Well, there are different ways to find this number out. Let's try and change this number of hours to a certain number of minutes. and go on to simplify this fraction and see if we can find x. So we have 20 over 1 hour is the same as 60 minutes. So the rate of solving is 20 problems per 60 minutes or for every 60 minutes. That's the same as 50 over x number of minutes. This will have the same unit as this one. Now 20 over 60, look at this fraction. It can be simplified. Divide this with 20, this with 20. So we have 1 over 3, 1/3 is the same as 50 over x. So it's pretty much an equivalent fraction problem. The fraction 1/3 changes to 50 over something when you multiply 1 with 50. So to keep the fraction the same, you multiply 3 with 50 as well. So this number x is equal to 150, and that's in minutes because we already changed the number of hours to minutes in this step. So 50 problems will be solved in 150 minutes, and that is equal to 2 hours and 30 minutes or 2.5 hours.